Hey guys, Chris from Provo Beast Audio Installation, and in today's video we're doing an amplifier and subwoofer in this 2004 Toyota Tacoma. Now in this install, we're going to show you how to install that amp and sub to an aftermarket radio. Let's get started. Alright, so here at the bench, the parts that we're going to need for the install, first and foremost, is the amp and sub that we're going with. Now, in our case here today, so we're doing a loaded powered subwoofer enclosure, which means the amplifier is built into the sub itself. This is the JBL 8-inch 125 watt RMS subwoofer package. It's a really nice setup, and this thing is super compact, so you really can put it in any location. Our choice here today will be to install it underneath the driver's side front seat. Now, to install this guy, you do need a wiring kit. Wiring kit we've gone with is this New Concepts 8-gauge amplifier wiring kit. Comes with power wire, ground wire, RCAs, remote terminal wire, speaker wire, fuse holder, and a ton of connections and accessories for your install. Fortunately, also with this JBL loaded enclosure, it does come with an included base knob, which will mount at an easy accessible location. Now, like I said, our plan here today is to get this installed underneath the driver's side front seat. So we're going to go ahead and remove the four 14mm bolts holding in that seat so we can lay it back to give us the access we need and space so we can go ahead and start running our wiring. Alright, so here under the hood, here is our battery on the driver's side front corner. We have our negative and our positive. It does have a little bit of corrosion. We'll clean that up here in a bit. But depending on the age of your truck, you may already have different terminals on here. It looks like these have been replaced at some point. But our power wire will connect to this positive side terminal, and then our inline fuse we want as close to that terminal as possible. So we'll probably build a mount and mount it here in this location. Then we'll run our power wire. Our firewall grommet is right here. It's nice and soft, so we can poke a little hole through it and feed our power wire, our 8-gauge power wire, through that grommet into the cabin of the truck. Alright, so what we've done here to prep our wire to be pulled through the firewall is we went ahead and poked a little hole, our notorious wire hanger that we use here on the channel. We taped our wire to it, and we're going to lube this up really well with some soap and water. We're going to go from the inside to pull that on through. So up underneath, that is where our hanger comes out. So we're going to pull it from the inside with our taped up wire to feed our power wire into the cabin of the truck. Alright, so what we've done here is we've laid that seat back to see how this would fit underneath. It does great, but it's kind of an incline, and there's no way to really mount this down. So we got our big 12 by 16 1/8-inch ABS piece of plastic here, where we've kind of cut to that shape up underneath the seat, and we put a hole there. We're going to snag the rear seatbelt bolt here, and essentially this is going to be mounted up underneath the seat. It's a nice sturdy location this can mount to. This will sit underneath the vent, and essentially here we'll keep it from sliding around. These terminals will be towards the front of the seat area, and so you can still get to it, and nobody will kick the terminals there in the back. And that was our goal here. So we got this all nice and cut out here. It's going to fit in that location. Let's finish running our power wire. Let's go ahead and find a good grounding location. And from that point forward, then we can run our RCAs and remote turn-on wire from the radio down to this loaded amplifier as well. Alright, so what we've done up underneath the hood is we have finished up our fuse holder. We pulled that wire on through, zip tied it to the factory loom, came up here. Now with some leftover ABS plastic from our amplifier mount, we went ahead and made a little sandwich mount where this 12mm, we loosened it, we put a piece of ABS up underneath it, and we could screw our fuse holder to that piece of ABS plastic. Now we have a nice little shorty end that'll go to the positive stud here as soon as we're ready to hook up our amplifier. But we're not going to do it quite yet. We still need to clean up the corrosion on this side and install the amp sub up underneath the seat. Make all our connections before we go ahead and hook this on up. This is the last thing that we do for our install today. This is basically done underneath the hood besides hooking this up. Let's head inside, finish running our wiring, and let's go ahead and tap our ground. So we took this panel off. This one also is just held on with clips, comes right on out. Gave us plenty of length and space to run our power wire down. Our seat back, we fished our power wire and it came out there. There you go, there's that blue one out there. Saw us clean up the paint really well with a wire brush there, and we hooked our little shorty ground. We only needed a little bit of that wire, about a foot's worth. Put a ring terminal on and a lock washer and went to that location. That bolt there, that 10mm, held on the vent, but it was actually broken, and so it was just unused. So we went ahead and cleaned up the paint and used it for our purposes today as a nice ground for our amplifier. Now, for our amplifier and subwoofer, you didn't see us remove the aftermarket radio here in order to install our wiring. We actually covered that in great detail when we install our aftermarket radio in that specific video. Now, check that video on out. We'll walk you through step by step on how to pull that radio on out in order to connect your RCAs and your remote turn on wire. So with this RCA's and remote turn on wire, we just fed it through the dash here up into the radio cavity. What we need to do is connect our remote turn on wire to our radio's remote trigger wire. Generally with Pioneers, they're going to be a blue and white. So we're going to go ahead and connect that to the blue-white wire on our aftermarket radio. Our RCAs are going to go to the subwoofer output or audio output RCAs on the back of the radio. Okay, with all our connections made, let's tuck our wiring back in here. Alright, so what we've done here is we connected our RCAs and a remote turn on wire to the back of the radio, as you saw, and we fished them down right to about that point here. What we're going to do is feed them either up underneath the carpet here or under the center console, and what we're going to do is make our way to the vent area where amp sub combo is going to be. So we're going to go ahead and get that all fished through out with our power and ground. Alright, so we got that all seated in here. It's going to snag this back bolt. And our terminals connect. Ground goes to that factory ground there. And then power goes to the battery. We have a base knob, which we'll mount separately. RCAs go up to the radio. Remote turn on wire goes up to there. Now, the way that we pass that wire through is we can actually pull this on back. And we just fed it with our hands into that opening. So, nice direct shot. And we'll put this back together, bundle our extra wire just up underneath that radio cavity, and that's about it. So let's go ahead and do a final vacuum, a tune, clean up. We'll show you what we've done underneath the hood and finish up this job today. All right, so we got this just about done up underneath the hood here. We went ahead and added our positive to the positive post. Now we've done that when the negative was off. While we had the negative off, we cleaned up the terminal here. We went ahead and made our connection. Now, this is not our favorite here, but there's no other terminal up at this positive post. So we had to get that ring terminal in there as tight as we could. So that's all done. Clean that up. We're gonna put some preventative on that so it stops corroding. And we got the negative back on the battery. So at this point in time, we're done underneath the hood. All right, so we are done and good to go. We got everything all put back together here. And our amp sub combo is looking great. That platform worked out awesome. All we need to do is bolt the seat back down. There's plenty of length for our seatbelt cable to go back and forth. That's not going to be an issue. And essentially it allows us the easy access to these terminals while the seat is in place if we have to do any adjustments. We went ahead and set our gains and crossovers. We got our bass knob all mounted there as well, right easily where the driver can get to. Now, if you want to see more videos on this generation Tacoma, we'll link those videos down in the description where we have a radio install, backup camera, front and rear door speakers done. Thanks again for watching. Be sure to hit the like button if you like what you saw, and don't forget to subscribe. We post great content on the channel all the time, and we will see you in the next video.